Hello everybody, this is Sneaky the Lost, and today we're bringing you a mod spotlight for the mod Industrial Foregoing. Clearly inspired by Minefactory Reloaded, which I do not believe is being updated anymore. The COFH crew updated it for time in the 1.10 era, but I think they're going to be doing their own thing with thermal agriculture, something like that. So it's interesting to see a mod like this, and while it may be inspired by Minefactory Reloaded, it is by no means a clone. They do have their own mechanics. The first one, going over, is how to produce plastic. In Minefactory Reloaded, you find a rubber tree, you cut down a rubber tree, you got raw rubber, and you got wood. In this one, you're actually going to need any kind of logs will work next to a tree fluid extractor. This does not require power. The recipe for this block is fairly straightforward. Smooth stone, furnace, redstone, iron gear, at least in the vanilla, of course. In a mod pack developers may alter that depending on where they feel it should go in their pack. But that's the basic one. And you see it will slowly break the wood and produce liquid latex. Now I have two of them here to make it go by twice as fast. This does not get more latex out of the wood block. It is always going to produce the same amount regardless of how many you have around it. It just does it about twice as fast. You'll notice that I've got these servos on this hardened fluid duct. Industrial Foregoing does not have a fluid transportation system built in. But then again, it doesn't really need one considering no mod is an island. And especially these days where mostly people are playing mod packs instead of putting their own together, makes sense to not have to put all the development time in an item and liquid transportation system that, is going to be the same, if not worse, than 8 or 9 others that are probably already in the pack. So I felt this was a good idea on the developer's part. One thing you can do, however, and this is an interesting and really useful thing, you notice that it's only going to be taking in latex from blocks in front of it. And the fluid containers is basically, can I pump a fluid container into it? Anyway, so the tree fluid extractors pumps fluid. And right now what I've done is set it up so that it only pumps out from the left. And that is from the left as we are looking behind it. One of the things I like about Industrial Foregoing is how they orient the blocks. When you place a block, it is facing the same direction that you are facing, and all of the directions, left, right, etc., are as though you were looking the same direction the block is facing. So since the block is facing the log, left is this pipe here that permits it to go out of. If I were to disable that, it actually would no longer pipe out, and it would start storing it up in here. And I could, of course, unlock all of them if I so choose. Really useful way of configuring the sides of a machine. I like it. Anyways, this feeds into a latex processing unit which requires energy, it requires water, and it requires latex, liquid latex from these tree extractors. Now then, this mod does not have a way of producing energy that does not already require plastic. So you will need to piggyback on another mod to produce the initial power system necessary to get going. Again, no mod is an island. I approve of this, because you're not going to be doing this all alone. There's going to be other mods involved in the mod pack that you're playing with, and so there's really no need to create a crappy little furnace to get you going that you're going to upgrade in 15 minutes. So I like this. I like this. And also it's got more buttons down here that you can configure where the energy can come from. The tanks can come from the output items. If you're wanting to pump items out of it, this will let you do so. And of course, fluid containers. We're just using a creative energy cell for the purposes of this mod spotlight, but you can hook it up to any power grid you want. And there's a couple of other things you can do later on. We'll talk about that later in the spotlight. So, that's your basics, how to get plastic, or at least that gets you the tiny dry rubber. Then what you do is you take your tiny dry rubber to a crafting station, and that creates 9 tiny dry rubber, makes a dry rubber that smelts up to get plastic. So, that's really the plastic generation in the mod that is used for all of the other blocks in the entire mod. So let's go over some of what this mod does, shall we? So, generators, it has the petrified fuel generator, basically your bog standard burnable coal gen. A bioreactor and a biofuel generator is actually really awesome. I believe Minefactory Reloaded was really the first one that came up with an idea like this, and I really, really like it. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Bioreactor and biofuel generator. Let's go ahead and get one and see what they do. Now then, the bioreactor has this kind of an interface to it. And what it is you give it seeds, the different types of growables, and it will produce biofuel out of it. However, it gets additional efficiency if you have different types of items in there. So, for example, if I had seeds, I had, say, regular Minecraft seeds, pumpkin seeds, melon seeds, beetroot seeds. Mod interactivity is more with industrial add-ons, which will be covered in a separate mod spotlight so that we don't confuse everybody. But if we put in, say, well, first off, I want to go from always active to active on redstone signal so I don't accidentally turn it on. And we need to give it some power, so we'll give it this creative flux capacitor. There we go. So, right now we've got seeds in here, and it's producing 80 millibuckets of biofuel per item. That's kind of a pretty lousy conversion rate. So we throw in pumpkin seeds, and you notice the efficiency went up to 12.5%. And now it is producing 90 millibuckets per item. Okay, better, but we can do better than that. Let's put in pumpkin seeds, melon seeds, beetroot seeds. And as you notice, we're now producing 110 millibuckets per item. Let's go throw in carrots and potatoes. There we go. Now we're producing 130 millibuckets per item instead of 80 millibuckets per item. You're taking one of each of these. So now I'm producing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 130. Yeah, 7, 8, 880. Yeah, about 880 millibuckets per action with this instead of 80. So, much, much more efficient way of doing things. Automating this can be a little bit challenging, but it is certainly possible, especially if you use something like the thermodynamics signalum retrievers to keep a certain number in the inventory at all times. Also, you notice the advantage to this version is actually going to be a lot easier than I thought, because it can only accept 16 of each item. So I'm trying to click potatoes in here, and it's not taking the potatoes in there because it already has potatoes in here, and so it won't take potatoes more. so you won't be able to fill up the stacks with other stuff. That makes it a lot easier to automate. It really does, from the old MFR reactor, and a great upgrade. So that's the power items. Let's talk about agriculture, since it's primarily seen as an agriculture mod. And so the two big blocks here is going to be the plant gatherer and the plant sower. The plant gatherer harvests crops, the plant sower plants them. You'll notice all the different colors. They correspond to the different sides. So if I were to put, say, basic seeds here in yellow, and then give it some power, there you go. It's on the yellow side, right there. Nice. And then as it matures, let's go ahead and get some bone meal to see that happen a little bit faster. There we go. Then the plant gatherer, once I give it some lovely power, will gather it and the seeds. And so you have your basic auto cropping going on here. And then you just pump the seeds down to the sower and pump the wheat wherever you want to process your wheat. Now you notice it also produces sludge. This actually gets into a great part of the mod. One of the things I liked about Minefactory Reloaded, which is it has an interconnected system instead of a tiered system. What do I mean by that? Let's take thermal expansion. It's a tiered system. It's a tiered technological tree. You have to first build your basic machines, your pulverizer, and your redstone furnace, so that you can make Invar, so that you can make the higher tier, the mid-tier machines, and you need the mid-tier machines to make reinforced glass to be able to make the higher end stuff, and you need the magmatic the melter to be able to make the Inderium and Signalum and all of those stuff. So there's a tier. The part of the tech tree is gated behind certain technologies. That is not the case for the most part with Minefactory Reloaded or Industrial Foregoing. As once you get your plastic production set up, you can make almost everything in the mod, except that bad boy over there we'll talk about in a second. Instead, they're interconnected. So, for example, you have, you say you've got this stuff here. Let's talk about animals. So, you've got this animal sewage collector. And also, one other thing, you see this button, show working area. Bada bing, bada boom. You just see it. It's great. You can turn it on, you can turn it off, you can see where machines are working and where they are overlapping. Make sure that everything is working just fine. Now, the sewer at first doesn't have a very big area effect. It's only the block directly in front of it. I like to put a little bit of a range add-on. That way, it can basically harvest from the whole pen. We'll talk about add-ons a little bit later. Basically, he produces sewage. Sewage goes in a sewage composter to make compost, which goes in a plant fertilizer to make the crops grow much faster. The whole system is interconnected. Each machine is producing a byproduct that a different machine uses. Very, very much in the way of old school forestry before the multi-block business, where each setup produced something that a different setup uses. And I really like that design structure. I really do. So let's go over some other things we can do here. So we've got the plant sower, the plant fertilizer, the gatherer, the sludge refiner, the old-fashioned sludge boiler. You provide it with sludge, which comes out of the grower, the plant gatherer, And you need to do something with it because it'll shut down if it gets too much sludge in there. It will produce earth-like materials. So you can see what you can get. You can get things like dirt, clay, um, soul sand, I believe there's a small chance of getting. Various different things. And you can, of course, config that if you so choose. The Spores Recreator, you give it water and a mushroom, it will produce more of that mushroom. Not too shabby. Animal Husbandry. Now then, you've got the Animal Grower, the Animal Sewage, Composter, Rancher, Fisher, Feeder, and Separator. The feeder is your basic animal feeder. It feeds animals nearby with the appropriate food types, which gets them in the mood to get a little busy so you can get babies. And then what you can do is set up a 3-cage system. So the first one is your breeding pen, and the next one you use your animal baby separator to pull babies out of there so that they can grow in the holding pen. And then if you put another one in with the adult filter, it'll move adults instead of babies. And then the third pen is for when the babies grow up to be adults and they get pulled into the slaughter pen. Ha 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 ha. Now then, you've got the Animal Rancher, which is a passive. It will milk cows, shear sheeps. I think it also collects eggs from chickens, I believe. I'm not sure. So that's a way to get those kind of resources. The Animal Grower takes food, but instead of breeding them, it causes babies to grow faster. So that's great for using in your holding pen in your 3-stage setup that I was talking about earlier. Now then, there's a couple of other blocks in here I'd like to talk about right now, and that's the Mob Crusher and the Animal... Hang on. No, not the Animal Grower. Basically, the Slaughterer. Yeah, Mob Slaughter Factory, that one. Okay. They both kill mobs in the area of effect. Mob Crusher drops the mob items, not ones that you need a player to kill to get. So, like, say, the Thermal Foundation Blaze likes only drop their rods if a player or player-like entity kills them. So, like, maybe a Killer Joe. This won't do that. But it will kill them passively, anything in the area, and provide the mob drops. So you put cows in front of a mob crusher, it's going to kill them, it's going to produce leather and beef, raw beef. Put it in your mob grinder, kills mobs dead. It does require essence to run. No, excuse me, I apologize, it's reversed. It gains essence for doing so. The Mob Slaughter Factory, on the other hand, produces liquid meat. Which is something completely different, and a little bit of pink slime every now and then. So, it also has various enchantment things. Enchantment Sorter, is a routing item. Enchantment Extractor, pulls enchantments out of items and puts them onto the books. You need to feed it books and enchanted items to do so. Applicator takes enchanted books, applies it to whatever you give it. Potion Innovator, it makes potions, it brews potions. Enchantment Factory, pardon me, enchants items given what you, it's basically like an enchanter. Yeah, when provided power, an enchantable item and essence, it enchants it. It will use 3 buckets of essence to do a level 30 random enchant. And it is random, just like the vanilla enchanter. I prefer using a different method of doing enchantments personally, but hey, your mileage may vary. Now then, the energy field provider is actually not, I don't know why it's under enchantments, it's not, it's actually power field. Basically, what you do here, let's see, let's pull that flux capacitor out of there so that we can show you what it does. Okay, so you make your energy field provider, and then you make the energy field add-on card. Shift, sneak right click, put it in there. Okay. Oh, right. This needs energy. And then that goes in here, and now it is providing this with energy wirelessly. You look at the area of effect that it can do. There's the area effect. It's not huge, but it's not small either. And you can put in range upgrades to make that bigger if you want. And that just means fewer cables you have to run to get your machines going. You just have one of these guys nearby providing power to all of them. That's actually a really awesome idea. Kudos to whoever came up with that idea. I like it. So, storage. There's a black hole unit, the black hole controller, and the black hole tank. The black hole unit, as users of Minefactory Reloaded may recall, store a long int number of items, which is a couple billion. And of just one single item. So think of it like a drawer on crack. The black hole controller will actually hold multiple black hole drawers. So say I've got 3 black hole drawers here. I want one to store seeds. I want one to store seeds. Oh, wait a minute. I know what to do. I go black hole unit, seeds. And it keeps the item so that you don't have a few billion items spilling around and killing your server. There you go. He's got seeds. And then he can have melon seeds. There you go. So if this thing gets items piped into it, seeds or melon seeds, it puts it in the appropriate black hole unit. So it's a way of compacting things down, making it a little bit easier to automate and a little bit easier to use. Kind of a powerful system, yeah. You could probably expect to see the recipes of these things either removed or significantly increased in cost, compensate for the fact that you can store a couple billion items in it per black hole unit. Black hole tank is a black hole unit that stores liquids. Now then, mob crusher. It kills mobs dead. It drops mob drops. Mob slaughter factory produces liquid meat. More on that in a bit. Mob duplicator is your typical mob spawner. Mob imprisonment tool, or if you prefer, the Pokeball. I see they use the same image here. Captures a mob, and then you put it in the mob spawner, or the mob duplicator as you prefer. And it does require essence to run. So you give it essence, power, and a Pokeball, and it will produce that particular mob. It'll count the entities nearby and stop spawning if there are too many. That's a good design choice there as well. Mob detector will emit redstone signal depending on the number of entities in front of it. Villager trade exchanger. Ever had trouble trying to find that one villager with that one trade you wanted? This solves that problem. You put it down and it will trade with any villager in the area. You just open up its user interface and you'll be able to get it taken care of. So really, really useful thing if you like trading with villagers or getting their stuff. Now then, resource production. You've got your water condensator over here. Basically, it's an aqueous accumulator. It produces water based on water blocks nearby, and it will also collect rain as well. Because, of course, everybody needs water. Having 2 or more sides of water will start it collecting water, and will produce more the more it is adjacent to it. Block placer, block breaker, exactly what it says on the tin. Places or breaks blocks. We'll get to the laser in a minute. Ore processor will break down silk-touched ores into its drops, and if you provided essence, it breaks them with fortune, so you get more of the drops. Okay, not too shabby. Dye mixer, exactly what it says on the tin. You feed it colors, it makes different colors. Yay. The Material Stonework Factory. This is a great little toy. I love it. I love the concept of it. It is great. Whoever came up with this idea, you are awesome. And you win all the internets. What this does, let me go ahead and, you know what, why don't we just go ahead and put it over here in the area effect of that thing, and give it another energy add-on card. There we go. And it makes cobblestone. That's not all it does. You can go furnace mode, 2x2 craft mode, grind mode, 3x3 craft mode. So, how about this? Why don't we go furnace mode, and then 2x2 mode. It is making cobblestone, smelting it into smooth stone, and then crafting it into stone bricks. But wait, there's more! How about this? Let's grind, smelt, and see what happens. We get glass, because cobblestone grinds into gravel, grinds into sand, turned into glass. This thing is awesome. This thing is great. This is your whole cobbleworks in one block. I love it. And then, of course, the resourceful furnace is a furnace, but it can smelt 3 items at a time, which is awesome. Now let's talk about this happy guy, the laser drill and laser base. You notice the laser base is in the middle, the laser drills are on the edges. I'm not sure if they flipped the names or something. I think these are supposed to be the bases, and the middle is supposed to be the drill itself. At any rate, you notice this central block has no way of producing power. Instead, you have to power all 4 of these guys out here, and then they will produce work for the central block, and it basically is an auto miner. It will produce items and generally kick them out wherever you tell it to. Generally, out the top is how I like to do it, and then put some kind of a chest or some introduction to a sorting system out the top. It takes a lot of energy. We're talking like, what was it, 20,000 RF a tick? Something like that? Yeah, sounds about right. So, yeah. But it's basically passive origin, so yeah, it's going to be expensive. One thing I would like to talk about with these filters, the range add-ons. Does what it says on the tin. It increases the range. What it does not do, however, is increase the rate. The way these blocks work to avoid crashing out Minecraft, or at least destroying a server every time you turn one on, is it goes, basically it starts doing each block at a time. So bam, 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 bam. Okay, cool. When you increase the size of effect, it still does that, one block at a time. So when you increase your radius of effect from, say, 3x3 to a 9x9, yeah, you increase it by a factor of 9. You're now doing 81 blocks with a single machine. But it's not going any faster. And it has trouble keeping up with larger plots because it's only doing it one block at a time. Even though it's doing like a row of 9, and then another row of 9, and then another row of 9, etc., etc., etc. So it, in many ways, is a lot faster to have multiple smaller plots, or at least if you're going to have a 9x9 growing area with one water in the middle to keep everything hydrated, you might actually be able to do like 8 different plant gatherers around the edges, each one doing a 3x3. It would be a lot faster. You'd get your drops more immediately than you would with a single plant gatherer with a range 3 upgrade. So just a little tip for those planning on doing industrial-sized farm plots, that breaking it up into multiple smaller areas is a lot faster. It can still do it. Don't get me wrong. You throw in like a range 15 upgrade, it will harvest all the things eventually. It might take a few minutes to go through a single iteration. And you're probably going to have stuff fully grown just sitting around waiting for it to get to its turn. But it can do it. So, range upgrades, less useful in some of these machines, like the Gatherer and the Planter. Just to let you know how that works. So, that's pretty much this mod. We've gone over just about everything. You got these laser lenses that can be used to focus a particular type of ore. You can check out the config file for details on what it might do. But other than that, yeah, that's the mod. You do, of course, have the meat feeder. You feed it liquid meat, and it will automatically keep you topped off on food. Quite handy if you're going out adventuring for extended periods of time and don't feel like eating it yourself. So, that is Industrial Foregoing. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. And this is Sneaky the Lost, signing off.